Hey folks, Bill Strong from ChumpCast Live, here to talk to you about broadcasting and live streaming from your race car, from your pit lane, from your paddock, or even from your home shop. Just let guys watch your current builds or fixing your car. All right, we're going to start off with what we use. We use racecast.me. So, easiest way to do this, get yourself a cell phone. Any cell phone, as long as it's fairly new, needs to be fast, decent camera, the whole bit. iPhone 4S and higher seems to work. I have had issues with the 4S just dropping out on me. I think they're not fast enough to do it while moving. Yeah, they've got some issues, but try it if you want at home, see what happens. I've tried it here, it works fine, but I get to the track, it doesn't work so fine. So, some sort of new phone. I believe this is a Verizon 4G Galaxy S4. It works great. We use it at VIR to great success. Stuck it outside in the rain. We just put some gaffer's tape over anything that would get wet. Worked fine. I do suggest if you get a phone, get yourself a cheap case. You can go to Amazon and buy these Chinese cases. They're fairly robust. In case you drop it, don't break it. Also kind of keeps the splashes off of it as well. You pick them up for $5 to $10, sometimes even cheaper with Amazon's sales. So, phone, get yourself a nice little case, and you'll need a holder for it to hold it in the car. Now these guys you find all over eBay, all over the place. They're real cheap. They work. They're not really robust enough sometimes to take the vibration, so some of the cars you see, they vibrate a little bit. You can buy guys like these too. All pennies on the dollar to $15-20 for them. I like the Joby. The Joby mount, totally adjustable, takes up, my Samsung Note 7 before it exploded. It actually worked quite fine in this. You can adjust the angle, which is really nice. The others, you can't really do that. And once you bolt it down, it's pretty strong. I would suggest taking a bungee cord, some of those little circle bungee cords with a ball on the end of it. Those work great at doing that. They don't get in the way, and you can move it around, and let's say you can hit your buttons to set everything up too while it's still on there. These are great. Use a roll cage mount of some sort, mount something, and you can put it on there. Alright, so mounts. We use Galaxy S7s exclusively for the ChumpCast stuff. You can use, like I said, you can use iPhones or anything else that wants to transmit across the web. Super simple to set these guys up. All you need is a decent data plan, a weekend worth of racing. Let's say 2 8-hour races will use about somewhere around up to 10 gigabyte. We only run 720, so set your phone up to run 720 HD. You don't need to run 1080 because what happens is Racecast will actually decrease the resolution, the playback down to 720. So just send 720 or 480. It's all good. We run 480 a lot of times, save bandwidth. You can't tell the difference. So, and it saves you money on data or data plan. So phone, what you do is go to racecast.me. You can go on your phone, set up the account. Once you set up your account, you can download the software. It's 2 apps. The first app is super simple. Just download it from the App Store. There's a link on the Racecast setup site. It takes you right there. It'll be the GoCoder. That's a GoCoder, GoCoder app. You download that. Once you get that, go back down to the next link on the downloads, and it'll download the configuration. It will automatically set up your GoCoder for you. Click that, done. It only takes a second. Once it downloads, it pre-configures it, you're ready to go. All the instructions for doing this are on the racecast.me site. Once you sign up, it'll tell you through it. And also we have all the setup instructions on copied over from their site over at chumpcar.com on the forum, and I'll also have them on the website as well once I get those pages set up. So, GoCoder, done. Mount it in your car, turn GoCoder on, and just press the big red button, which is super simple. I will do it here. See that big red button? Once you get in the car, or you can set up your configuration settings here. This one is set up for 720. We can go down to 640 by 480. That works fine. I use that a lot for, if I don't have good connection or good speed there, or if I know I'm running low on bandwidth day 2, I'll set that up. We have so many cameras running, it gets kind of pricey for me. So 720 or 640 works fine. Click done. Now you're ready to go. Just hit the red button. You can also reduce. So right here is your bit rate. I always have mine at 1,000. Anything higher, again, it's not really worth it. It'd be nice if you could get higher if you have that kind of connection speed, but 1,000 is good. So, and that's done through here. So once you get all these done, the settings are automatically saved. So you get it set up in your car, hit the play button, it sends it out to the web. I'd hit it now, but it would go to Racecast and people would be going, what the hell is he doing? So, all right, so we have that done. Cheapest way to do it, said about 10 gigabytes for a weekend. If we're doing a 24, it may be a bit more. I haven't actually measured the bit rate or the bandwidth for that. I'll have that later on this year. So super simple. That's the best way to do it. All right. Now for the more advanced users, guys, a little bit more money they want to spend. There's other ways to do this as well. Oh, on the cell phone. Forgot about this. Microphones. Your built-in microphones are normally pretty good. I like to put a little microphone on it, on the phone. I picked this up at Best Buy, just along with the Joby. That plugs right into your microphone part. You may have to hollow out the case. If you have a case on it, you may want to hollow that out a bit so everything fits in there. And it works fine. It works great. It's directional. You can hear your drivers a little bit better. Less noise from the outer edges. It's great listening to that radio communications between the drivers. Sometimes it's kind of animated and makes for great TV. We love it at ChumpCast Live. So microphones. You can also figure out ways of hooking in your in-car communications. Think about doing that. We actually run a simulcast of the ChumpCar scanner. So we can listen into the guys in the tower. We can listen into the people along pit lane. And we listen in on your car communications as well and transmit that across. That's always interesting. People love that. And if you could hook up your figure out a way to mix your sound through Racecast through your radios, that'd be great. We understand that some filters are off during the race, so we do advise people. But when you're talking, try and keep the cussing down to a minimum. And remember, when you're on ChumpCast Live, tell your drivers that. If an incident happens, simmer down a bit. Yeah, we've seen some things recently which, yeah. All right, the other way to do it, oh yeah, mounts. Like I said, that mount. Here's another mount I made up. I purchased this from Chase Cam years ago. They also sell them on the web. You can mount that to a sheet of steel. I wouldn't mount this to a roll bar because it will vibrate off. As I found out at VIR. I actually mounted all the extra equipment I had using that. It was real quick to do, but it didn't hold. But if you have a flat piece of steel and you can weld that to your cage real quick and mount that on there, super simple. And these are really cheap. And you can get it really high up in the air. I said I mount that with the Joby. I have another Joby here, and you can mount it and adjust it and get the sight great. Really heavy duty mount. They work great. All right. The other thing we have is that you can hook up Gopros to transmit live. What kind of Gopros can you use? Well, here's the really cheap $150, $200 GoPro from a couple years ago. It's a GoPro Hero. It's a built-in case. It doesn't come out of the case. It's stuck in it. A lot of guys have these. These are great for mounting on the car to see what your suspension's doing, which is what I did. Found out why my wheels are falling off. Put them on your engine, see why the throttle's sticking, or see if anything's vibrating too much, or even see how much your engine's moving around. These are great, and they're pretty cheap. You can throw them on the car if they get tore up a little bit. Well, it's not a huge loss. All right, but you cannot use them to transmit Racecast, and the reason is they do not have HDMI out. They have to have an HDMI. These only have power. The next one are the Sessions, the GoPro Session. These are great little cameras. They're pretty bulletproof. They get beat up. I take mine to the beach all the time, and we throw it around and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. We also stick them on the race car. They're kind of tiny, so you can fit them into little spots. They're great to look up at the driver as he's shifting, or they just stay out of the way and they run. They're great. Only problem is they do not have HDMI out. They have the same issue, and that's the Session. This is the Hero Session, the first one, and then the Hero 5 Session. Again, no HDMI out. You cannot use it. We're really sorry. The next ones are the Heroes. This is a silver, the Hero 3 Silver. This does have HDMI out, and you can tell there, it's you have the power, and then the small one above it is HDMI. These work great. They can be used as well. I believe the Hero 4, which I don't have, the Hero 4 will work as well. And the Hero 5 does work. It has a little, you know, the HDMI out and USB-C. These use the USB, I believe it's micro or mini. Yeah, mini USB plug on it for power. These use USB-C for power. And the micro HDMI. So you need to find a micro HDMI. I get mine off of Amazon. Come with a cold cord. Keep it out of the way. You can get longer ones and zip tie it. We move these around so from car to car, so it's kind of nice to be able to stretch it and have it move around. So those plug right into the side there. Boom, done. You want your power cord because you're going to need to power everything because they'll only survive for so long. What's nice about the Hero 5 is they actually have a live setting on it. So you can go in your settings and tell it that you're going to only send HDMI out, and it will not record to the disk. So it won't cycle through and just shut off when it's filled up. It will actually keep sending. I think you can actually set it up to do both, and it just stops recording at one. I haven't tried that. I haven't tested it because I just don't have time to test that. But you can play with it if you want, or read up on their, probably it says in their instructions. But I just run it in live mode and go back, and then I just run separate recorders within the car so I can monitor my drivers if they screw up. And then plus you can get some cool video too for other cars. Alright, so when you mount this stuff, you want to mount your GoPro as high in the car as possible without interfering with the driver's view. You want to make sure you be able to see out the screen, or even point it out the back of the car to get a rear view. Those are always interesting. We kind of like those. I like the rear view. I think it's kind of cool to see what's going on, and we can combine that with other cars. And when you see one car, two cars with cameras, one pointing back and one pointing forward, it's kind of cool to get the mix. Paulie loves those. Always take a bunch of extensions with you. We had a problem at VIR when you stuck it in the Camaro or Firebird. I think it was a Firebird Trans Am. We stuck it in there. It was way too low. And the problem with that was that we couldn't see over the dash. So I had to turn it around backwards. We kind of saw it still was a bit low, but that allowed me to get my fix together for the next pit stop. And then I stuck it in real quick and we put it up high. Kind of braced it against the another part of the roll cage, and that kept it from moving around under, you know, when the wind hit it or G-forces. G-forces can make these things move, so just be aware of that. And also when you view these and it seems like the camera is kind of moving like this, a lot of cameras like Sony Action Cam and the new GoPros, they have that anti-vibration part in it where it actually takes a big picture, but they only show you the little part because it moves around and keeps it the G-forces from affecting the picture. So sometimes it kind of seems to move around a little bit. That's just inside the camera. Alright, so mount that thing as well as you can on there, because if you do get into a wreck, you don't want your camera flying around. It can hurt somebody. We don't want that. Alright, so how do you get this stuff to the internet? Well, once you have your camera, you buy yourself a Cerevo LiveShell 2. They're available on Amazon, $299. At Christmas time, they were $250. Kind of wish I'd bought more, but you know, just like any racer, I had to buy car parts. Cerevo LiveShell 2. Really cool. C-E-R-E-V-O. Cerevo. And LiveShell 2. Just do a search for LiveShell 2 and you'll pop up. $299. I think a lot of times it's shipping's included, but I could be wrong. And that's using Prime. I don't know what the regular price is because I always use Prime. So, but I think that is a regular price. So what they have, it comes with this nice little instruction sheet that kind of gets you lost. But there's Racecast is doing some instructions up, makes it real simple. So you get a dongle for your Wi-Fi, and it's up to wireless N or whatever the latest super fast version is, A, B, and C, or yeah, 80 whatever, 80, yeah, A, B, and C. I think A, but super simple. Plugs into a USB port on there. You also have Ethernet, so you could actually set this up at your shop and run it off Ethernet for super fast 100 megabit feeds. You guys are super fast Wi-Fi or high internet connections at home. That'd be great for the shop. And then it has a HDMI full size on the side. Plug that guy in there. Now your camera is now connected to the Cerevo. All right, you go to the Cerevo website, download the software to your laptop. You can actually do it through here, but download the software. It makes it much easier. Download it to your laptop. I don't know if they have tablet settings yet, but use a laptop or desktop. You can then change the settings in this. Like I said, just send out 720. That's all we need. Nothing higher. 720 HD. You can set your settings, and what's really nice about the software, you take your laptop with you to the track. If you have problems with the camera during the race, you can actually go through and restart stuff, and that comes in handy. It just sends it back out to the web, sends it to your camera, to the Cerevo, and you can change your settings. If it's too high a setting, you can lower things out, and you can put little subtitles on your camera like, hey, this is such and such in the car or whatever. And what's nice about Racecast, when you set this all up with Racecast, you can actually go through there and also set up within the settings on that, tell who's in the car. So during the race, you put a new driver in, go to racecast.me, put the new driver's name in your settings page, and boom, it'll pop up with an overlay, and we see who's driving the car. You know, when Randy Popes is in there, it's nice to let everybody know he's in your car. All right, so how do you get this to the web? Well, you have to have a hotspot. You can either use a telephone and transmit it wirelessly through a cell phone in the car, or just buy yourself one of these pay-per-view hotspots. You know, the buy now. You just pay for your internet that way. 10 gigabytes should do for a weekend. For a 24-hour, I look somewhere around 20, about 20 gigabyte or less. That'll work at 720. At 480, it'll be less. I actually haven't been able to get the exact total, but I know it was like 6 gigabyte for a 7-hour, so figure that. 6 to 7 gigabyte for a 7-hour. Sometimes I share these, so my data might be off a bit, but the Racecast guys say 6 gigabyte 8-hour race or 7-hour race. You hook these two up, and again, that's where the software comes in. Super simple. Set it up, and it will actually take your laptop. It'll ask you to plug in this little cable to it, and it will send the signal to your. It'll send you take it to your speaker out on your laptop, to speaker in on this, and done. It's really cool. It only takes a second to change the settings. You can set it, by hand through the screen here. It sucks doing that. All right, so how do you power all this? Well, you can set it all up to power through USB in your car. That gets to be a real pain in the butt, and it's not always reliable, and you take a chance on, I always like isolating my car electronics from the race electronics, because some of these race cars don't actually have the best power. And you don't want to take a chance on something actually backfeeding back into the electrical system when you turn it off. Yeah, sometimes this USB stuff can actually power your car, which is not good. All right. I use batteries. I love the Anker battery. This is the second gen Astro E7. It supplies 26,800 milliamps or 98.6.48 watt hours. It's awesome. It supplies up to 4 amps, a 5-volt power. Has 3 plugs in it, which is exactly what we need for this GoPro setup. I plug every unit comes out, plugs into the USB. It also has an input which we can charge live, so I can actually plug that into I like to use isolated USB. It takes it and makes sure that it's 5 volts only. You can buy those at Radio Shack and other electronics outlets. It's not a very pretty little box, but it basically makes sure that it's a set 5 volts. Won't go anything over that. So that runs into that. And then everything else powers this. So all that does is charge your battery. You don't need to do that for an 8-hour race. This battery will last easily 8 hours. Take it back to the hotel room, charge it back up, come out the next morning, it's all ready to go. So you have a totally isolated unit. What I do, I set it up just like this. I make it so I can hit all the switches easily. And then I take some standard gaffer's tape, tape it all together. Gaffer's tape's awesome. It doesn't leave residue, and it's super easy to pull off. And boom, done. Now, how do I attach to the roll cage? You could use gaffer's tape, not super safe in case of a rollover. what I've done is I've gone to, I think it was eBay I got these off of. These are lighting rig stuff. You know, when you go to concerts, they have all the conduit and everything everywhere. They have lights hanging. Well, these are what these are used for. They mount on a round bar, boom, done, tight, nice and tight. Works great on a roll cage. I got these off eBay. We'll have it up on the website. We'll put a little thing together where you can get all this stuff later. But works great in a race car, real easy to take in and out. I haven't built the mount yet, but you can either use an aluminum plate, mount it to that, and just duct tape everything to that. Or you can just take it off, and this is probably what I'm going to do, is I'm going to actually weld them. Weld the plate to it so I have something to mount to. And just tape it to it, maybe a couple bungee cords around it, that would work too. Make sure it's tight. You don't want it vibrating loose or falling out. I did tape this, I think it was duct tape I used on it. No, I used this mount here at VIR, and it did not hold. It actually, I think my driver went off course, or no, Troy's driver went off course, and when it did, it just fell on the floor. We lost our connection. It'd come back every now and then because it was sitting below the door. So that's one thing you want to do. You want to have it up close to the windows, up to the window line, so that the radios work. You can mount this like on the dash and then mount this stuff elsewhere, but you want that Wi-Fi or that hotspot getting a good connection so that we can have a good connection. I love these guys, they're awesome. All right, so that's basically it. Super simple to set up. You can go to ChumpCar.com. To go to the forum, we have a whole forum set up for live streaming. We'll put this video up there too, but since you're watching it, you probably already know about it. We'll have all kinds of, this is a growing technology. Things are changing on the minute, it seems like. We've settled on this setup for now. It works great. It's not perfect. Don't panic if it doesn't work for you. We'll help you get it set up. You can email me at bill.strong@chumpcar.com. Paulie and I will be doing a full season of transmitting live races. Unfortunately, we can't go to every single race. We all have day jobs, and they don't give us enough holiday for that kind of stuff. But we're going to be at the big races, the 24s, wherever Mike wants us at, we will be there. All right. Any questions? bill.strong@chumpcar.com. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. It's a busy part of the season, so don't be surprised if I can't get to you instantly. You can also find me at wdstrongjr@gmail.com. That's my regular email, and you can find me on Facebook that way and message me. We do answer all our messages, and you can post to the ChumpCar Facebook page. You can get us that way. All right, see me at the races if you need help. Paulie will also help us get this stuff set up. He'll be at some races. He does most of his stuff remotely in Indiana, and which is pretty awesome. But yeah, ChumpCar.com. We'll have all our live races broadcasting from there. All your cameras will be mixed in. We'll have some really cool setups this year. All right. Any questions, give us a call. Give us an email. Good luck, chumps.